Next, let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of using computers. So, computers, you can always stand from a perspective of comparing human workforce and machines, computing devices. So with computing devices, with computers, high availability is definitely one striking advantage because machines can work around the clock 24/7. Okay, for example, web servers. Have you ever seen AirAsia website down? Of course, we have seen some times when there are too much requests going into their web server, and that cause things to be a bit slow. But in no way are the web servers not working at all. They are working all around the clock. Okay, so as compared to human workforce, you can only work for 8 hours a day, and we are bounded by law. I mean, employers, they are bounded by law not to overwork, not to abuse their employees. Okay, so only when it is time for maintenance, all these machines are being brought down and maintained. Maybe they want to install some security updates, and it only happens for a short span of time, okay, in a year. Some even pride themselves, some hosting services, website hosting services, where they provide a service for you to put your website on their machine and they maintain the machine. They pride themselves of having very, very minimal downtime in a year even. So that tells how great the availability of machines are when you compare to human workforce, right? Next comes to cost effectiveness. So cost effectiveness, how much do you get from that payment that you make? So if you were to purchase a machine, of course it has to have all the software and everything built on top of it. Then only it start to shine as a cost-effective tool. Okay, so one-time purchase, maintained at intervals. Okay, for example, your ticketing system, AirAsia ticketing system that I mentioned just now, one server can handle a lot of customer requests. So when you compare this to human workforce, of course, with higher volume, you need more people to interact. So your staff has to increase in size according to your customer base, but not so for AirAsia. So for AirAsia, they only need to increase the amount of machines, and it is by proportion much less compared to the number of hires you need to make. Okay, so one powerful server can serve a lot of millions of requests, but you can't do that for one or a team of staff. You overwork them. So cost effectiveness. Or imagine a database handling so many requests at any given time. So example is your inventory system, say Justgo. So Justgo is a huge supermarket with branches all over the place. So each and every branch, they will capture their daily sales. And at the end of the day, you will have to, all this information will have to be consolidated somewhere, perhaps in the HQ, where they are able to put all their sales for one day from different branches all into one piece of report. So if you were to do this for human workforce, that's very demanding and it's not cost effective. So with machines, they're able to do it. Okay, you can have a lot of operations program in place, and they will just execute at the time of the schedule. Okay, of course you can do it with workforce, but it will cost you much more because of OTs and all that. So next, efficiency. Okay, efficiency, it explains how fast you can do a piece of task given. So for machines, of course, they can work with arithmetics very, very quickly. It's only in a very rare occasion that you can see a human being able to work as fast as a machine, in very, very rare cases. And those are experts. And we're talking about average person comparing with a machine. Okay, so that makes a difference. Scheduled tasks to generate monthly. You build a task in, and then it's able to recognize that this is the time to execute, and it will just run on itself. Okay, most notably for managerial monthly reports, sales, all that. Okay, efficiency also comes in an example where Grab cars are able to assign the closest drivers to any requesting customer. So they are able to get all this information, aggregate all this information. Where are their contacts at any given time? The drivers, where are they? They are even able to monitor and project it onto your handphone. You have to install the application on your handphone, of course. Now, yeah, this is one fine example. Or your POS, a point of sales system. Okay, you don't need to. Okay, with a traditional workflow, you have to conduct your sales in a day, and after that, only at the end of the sales day, you update your inventory system. Okay, what are the things that have been sold popularly? I need to restock. For example, this Jasco. Okay, I have sold a lot of fresh milk today. I need to purchase more for tomorrow. Or certain things that are not so popular, I might not order as much next month. So these are analysis based on inventory system, and they can only be updated after the event has happened. And usually, to prevent disruptions during the day, they will only do it at night. So it is broken into a two-phase task. But for machines, for POS systems, it is able to integrate from the front sales system to the back inventory system. So they can work in synchrony, no lag time, more efficiency introduced into the kedai runcit lah, right? So consistency, next. Being able to come up with the same answer all the time. So this has got to do with high accuracy and correctness. Of course, if there's a bug in the program, this can be argued. And if there's a compromise on your system, some virus may throw all these operations into ORI. Okay, so banking systems for transferring funds, consistency. You must have one place deducting the okay, let me rephrase. You must have one account being withdrawn and the other account to be debited for a proper transfer. So database systems has got this very important feature called ACID, ACID. One of ACID, C stands for consistency, whereby if given any point in the transaction, say while transferring the money from account A to account B and deducting and debiting into these two accounts, if anything happens, network down or somehow power got tripped, when you restart the database system, a good database system will roll back this transaction to its original state as if that transfer didn't happen at all. So it will either accept everything except that this one account has been withdrawn and the other account has been debited, or nothing at all. So this event has to happen in completeness, completely, or it will just roll it back to its original state as if no transfer has happened at all. So this is consistency. And computers are able to achieve this in a very graceful manner. So talking about reliability, computers, they are reliable because only in a very this has to do with high availability, in fact. Okay, because at a very long time in a year, for a very long time in a year, computers, web servers, they are usually up and running without any stops. So they are reliable because they seldom break down, and if they do, usually for web systems, you need to have a backup or a disaster recovery system where if your web server A has been compromised or something must have happened, maybe a power trip, immediately computer system in a cluster, say example a web server A is down, web server B will naturally need to be taking over the role of its predecessor. So there are backups across web infrastructures so that to guarantee that your service is reliable, it is seldom down. Okay, but of course it can be argued you have to have some conditions set. You have to have continuous supply of electricity power, and usually for reliability computer systems, your redundancy should not be done at one place. Your redundancy has to be done across so that it's not compromised. Example is web server A should not be at the same place where web server B resides. They can be in say Johor, another one in KL, so that if let's say one day suddenly the data center at Johor is compromised, power got cut off, some disaster happened over there, the KL web server can take over the role of this web server on that is down. Okay, so continuous reliability, web servers on Linux known to run for years non-stop. Okay, given a stable operating system or software environment. So a lot of times hiccups happen during new refresh, new updates of your system. Okay, and usually before they are even pushed to the production site, they must go through a certain repeated testing on their staging, meaning it is being fully tested, and any bugs or any problems that crop up would have cropped up and solved by then before they even allow it to go onto a production site. Okay, so backup system. So that is for the advantages.